Hello and welcome to an all-new Marvel cast, Exposure Network's hub of all things Marvel, a place to talk about everything MCU and beyond, from Avengers and Defenders to Eric Kilraven and Zeke Stain. My name is Ashley Hobley, the Explosion Network's resident watcher. Joining me today, Ultimate Kieran Marchant.
It is I for to join in hopefully a venting session about Marvel's What If.
Yep. And also joining us, the astonishing Dylan Blight.
I feel like the show gets darker and just more teasing as we continue the show. Lots of one-parters, unfinished stories.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll get to that. But let's... You haven't worked it out today. We're talking about the latest episode of What If Killmonger rescued Tony Stark. Directed by Bryan Andrews, written by Matthew Chauncey. An American soldier called Killmonger rescues Tony Stark when his Humvee is attacked in Afghanistan. Kieran, what do you think of this episode of What If?
I think overall it was good. I just feel like there's a lot of jumps in character logic to make this What If happens that kind of annoys the shit out of me. And it's just really minute things. I think there's, this is the what if everything goes perfectly for Killmonger and everything kind of goes in his favor, very much. But even to the point of just little things like him, Killmonger apparently being able to wipe Jarvis completely is kind of insane to me. In terms of just, Jarvis was previously attacked by another greater AI and still managed to kind of make himself a copy of himself somewhere before being absorbed into Ultron.
This is Jarvis version 1, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
It is, but still, I'm sure Jarvis version 1 would... It's not even Jarvis version 1. It's not even Jarvis that my problem is. My thing is, okay, is Killmonger actually that good with computer systems and technology to get through any of Tony's system? Especially even if Tony was somewhat suspicious of him and knew that he'd killed...
Rhodey.
Knew that he'd killed Rhodey. Don't you think that there would be a lot more stuff done around about this, than just Tony just being nah, I'm just going to flatten you with my... I don't know. I guess it depends on what your perception of this Tony Stark is. If all of Tony's kind of forethought and deception kind of came out of the incidents of Afghanistan, and does that mean that because of his ego he's overlooking those kinds of things from it? I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of stuff in this movie, in this episode, that I'm what the characters would be able to, I'm sure, why haven't the people of Wakanda got the ability to look into this guy when he comes presenting himself and get the information of, hey, he's been plastered all over the news with Tony Stark for the last, however long, and he's also the front of the army, of the US American Army and stuff like that, and, that kind of stuff just doesn't come out. I don't know, I feel like, in many ways, they are just far too trusting, and far too many things just go completely his way in a kind of hoping that people kind of switch off and don't really think about everything with it.
Yeah, it's fair. Dylan, what do you think?
I really liked it. The only part that I'd agree on, the part that annoyed me, was the fact that the Wakandans didn't know who he was, because it just... That's the only thing that got to me, was that I just don't get how he's all over TV.
They don't have news.
They've never implied Wakandans don't keep up with what's happening in the outside world. Everything we've seen in the movies and whatever else, it was implied they don't particularly want to get involved, but it wasn't that they were cut off and oblivious to what was happening in the rest of the world, especially when they're always wanting to keep an eye out for people who have got Wakandan artifacts or vibranium or whatever, and they're tracking down Ulysses Claw, and they're always trying to have their ear to the ground to figure out who's trading and that sort of stuff so they can stop them. It doesn't really make sense that they have no idea who Killmonger is. That was the only part that annoyed me. Otherwise, if I was to not try and think about that, I actually really, really liked it, because Black Panther's my favorite Marvel movie, and Killmonger's, I think, the best Marvel villain, probably, in my opinion. And you just get more of him here, and you got Michael B. Jordan back doing the voice and everything, so it still just feels like Killmonger. You still got the soundtrack, the first time when he saves Tony at the start and they bring in his music right there as he begins shooting those people, I was like, oh, that's fucking cool. And a lot of it lot of the back and forth of characters, for the most part, I think everything sort of made sense with what characters were doing in this alternate universe, like the way everyone else was reacting in certain moments, the way Pepper was like, even though she wasn't like in a proper relationship with Tony here, the way she acts is fine. The way Happy reacts and gets jealous, like all these other characters, Ulysses Claw still just being Andy Serkis, like everything else was like cool, fun, great time. Even War Machine, Rhodey, sort of. This is prior to any Iron Man 2 type things happening, so he's still just sort of military dude-esque, and he's happy to play along and be the puppy dog and
they made a mistake. They should have made him look like Terrence Howard. It's weird.
Well, yeah, that's funny.
They want you to forget.
They very much want you to forget. Yeah, I did quite enjoy it. I enjoy the general idea of it, like the what if scenario and the story they're playing around with. And I'd still put it in the top half of the episodes. I would say that one little thing, sort of, without them explaining, like. They could have. That was the one little thing that stood out.
Even then, right after the point where I felt like the writing was a little bit on the nose, where he just kept being like, "I'm here to serve Wakanda," or "I'm after getting revenge for my father." If the person sat across from you is like, "I want to get revenge for my father," and you know that you're the one that killed him, wouldn't you be a little bit on guard or a little bit more suspect of Eric in that way? Because it certainly wasn't the American. Like, yeah, I don't know. There was just a lot of things where it was like nobody really seems to give a flying fuck. But I guess you know what, we found out the other thing that's different about this What If universe was T'Challa froze, and as the Black Panther, he never freezes.
Fucking hell. You're banned from saying that on this podcast, and you keep saying it.
I haven't received a cease and desist yet.
I don't know how you interpreted freezing. I mean, I think he got assaulted by a.
He froze to the ear thing. The ear thing made him freeze up.
I don't think that's freezing. Freezing is when you actively choose, like inadvertently choose. I don't know.
Do you inadvertently choose to?
No, like, you know how he froze when he...
I never get frozen.
Even then, do you choose to, like, succumb to the temperature drops to the point where it freezes your molecular structure? Is that a choice?
I think so. For some people.
Man, all these people that have froze, like Jack from Titanic, he should have just chose not to freeze.
No, all these people on top of Mount Everest, I mean, what are they doing?
Just choose not to freeze. Oh my god.
The lack of oxygen.
Jack from Titanic did choose to freeze. There was room on that fucking shaft.
I mean, yeah. Point proven. Yeah, I like the episode as well, just mostly because it's cool to see Killmonger back in probably the only fashion we'll ever get to see him kind of ever again. But yeah, like you said, obviously the kind of plot holes and elements of like everything kind of working perfectly to plan. And it seems like everything working out for him and that kind of stuff. So
and it's almost like a little too perfect. Like, I don't know, just... Yeah,
and just everybody going on, and then T'Challa's dad's like, yeah, nephew, sure, I murdered your dad, but let's play nice, you know? Let's not forget about that part of the story, you know? But yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see him and like, out of nowhere, apparently it was a massive, like, he's an Harvard student, it was?
No, MIT.
MIT.
No, it was MIT.
He's got a thesis on this kind of stuff, on giant mechs, Gundams, you know?
I like his one line. Yeah, I like anime.
I think it's just, I don't know. I think the writing could have just been a little bit tighter, or have it be that there's like a more calculated way that Killmonger has organized everything to fall into place, rather than just, you know, it just happens to have happened out.
I don't think it's the writing. I think it's trying to fit this story in under 30 minutes. that forces them to have sloppy writing.
To
Cut corners
go into specifics,
and not explain things and everything else. Like it's I can't really blame it particularly on the writing. It's just it feels like you give someone a challenge,
like trying to go too big. Then
it's showing the it's weird though because this is now a couple episodes where we've got a cliffhanger where you obviously know they could return for a part 2, and you're like, okay, well, why couldn't we have like just gone for a part 3 and done half of this in one episode and given some more time?
Well,
do you not want to commit? Like, just if you're going to do 2 parts, do 3 parts.
It's like they almost bit off too much. Like I think like they could have even extended to the point of him killing Tony and setting up the Americans against Wakanda. I think that is a fine cliffhanger moment. Like that would be a fine cliffhanger.
Where cliffhanger actually? You cliffhanger with him standing in front of all the robots just as he's walked into Wakanda.
Yeah,
that's where I'd cliffhanger it.
Yeah, like that stuff.
What's he gonna do next? Is he gonna kill Wakanda?
I mean, I think the idea is that they're meant to be open-ended stories that they were. I don't know that they're actually going to follow through on any of these.
No, but even if there was a cliffhanger there, you could still be like, oh shit. Open-ended story. Especially if they stretched out the Tony Stark bit, because then the story becomes the relationship between him and Tony more so, and the open-ended story is, what happens now that he's got this army? It still works, as long as you give a fulfilled story, and the fulfilled story was his and Tony's relationship, because they've now done a full half an hour to it.
Yeah. Then actually, you would actually feel something about Killmonger killing Tony, as very much it feels like Tony was a means to an end.
Yeah,
there wasn't any conflict,
especially the way they write it, where he's like, Tony's like, I thought it was you and me against the world. I was like, you've been in it, you've known each other for like 5 minutes, dude. Like, like I don't feel like you've liked each other at all.
I feel like there was a sense of periods of time jumping at this point, but also at the same time, there was nothing in the show to actually give context to that time jump and to like how long this had gone on for. Like it's just a. Yeah, I don't know. Feels very weird. Feels very weird. Tony Stark just kind of very quickly and very freely just giving this guy the keys to the kingdom. Like just kind of
he saved his life.
Well, I would say yes and no.
He picked up a missile and threw it at somebody.
Yeah, because like Tony reacts after Tony comes back from escaping in the Iron Man story. We know he is very like sort of just doing crazy shit, and that's because obviously he escaped with his life and he does things. So you can sort of play along the same thing as the Tony we know did some crazy things when he got back. This one didn't get captured, but he still nearly died. So reactionary wise, him doing crazy things is still sort of in line with the character from what we know.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the weird thing of just being like, okay, Killmonger throws out all the dirt on Obadiah Stane, and then Tony is like instantly okay and ready to offer this guy the COO position and jumping him into the same spot. He's just a bit, I don't know. Once again, they only have a certain amount of time for this to come through, but it just feels very rushed and very kind of. You have to kind of overlook a lot of plot holes or things that are just.
It feels like Tony's a bit too open, so a bit too trusting, especially given what we learn later in our timeline anyway, of him keeping secrets and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was cool how Killmonger set up Obadiah Stane to pretty much get himself in Tony Stark's good graces. It was cool hearing the 10 rings mentioned after Shang-Chi. It's like 10 rings. So even though this is the bad version. Is this the fake version of the 10 rings that was...
Yeah, I think so.
Or is it just like a slide?
I took it as the fake ones that Obadiah was. Because those dudes in the first movie are like, 10 rings or whatever. Like, it's all... I think it was supposed to be
Wait a minute. Sorry, live on the show, I'm just going to quickly check if my cinema reopens tomorrow because restrictions lift tonight in Victoria. Well, for Greater Shepparton. So
wow, Shepparton.
We get. Sorry, I just quickly just quickly seeing if I can go watch Shang-Chi.
We'll do it live.
Doing it live, everyone.
How do you find this out? You just look up the restrictions.
Just go to the cinema website. That's what I.
Yeah, I'm just going to the website to look to see if it's going to have.
See if there's any bookings available.
I mean, if the restrictions only just lifted, they might not have updated the website.
Nope. Tomorrow at 6:30 or 7:30 p.m. 6 p.m. or 7:30.
Book it.
Book that shit.
I will hook
then
that
book
up.
a couple of seats either side.
Surely they'll have it still marked off.
They will still COVID rule it, but it is. The cinema is available as of tomorrow.
Time to watch Shang-Chi.
Yay!
So
Congratulations,
nice.
people of General.
I no longer have to
Greater Victoria.
I no longer have to listen to everybody say how great it is and how wonderful it is, and avoid screenshots and anything of it.
But yeah. Also, I think Killmonger was just way too comfortable at Rhinoceros. That seems like he picked that up way too quick.
Look, don't you know that the Navy SEALs have rhinoceros riding training?
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I hated? Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, that was way over the top. It's like, oh, feels wrong when you say it.
I'm like, why is he saying that?
Especially after he murdered T'Challa.
Yeah. Come on. Get that shit out of there.
Very awkward. And then he's just playing it up to win over all the people.
Well, no, but the thing is, right,
in that fight.
Wouldn't his same plan kind of pan out if he had just saved T'Challa? Like...
No, because he wanted to be the Black Panther.
I guess. But...
By the way, Chadwick Boseman was in this still, so we're
he got credited.
We're still chugging along on which will actually be Chadwick Boseman's last thing.
Which is kind of sad, because I wish they just left the...
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Romantically, I wish they had left the zombie one either to the end or to have his final words be in that episode and the way that episode ends. I think from a romantic kind of point of view with cinematography...
I mean, it's not terrible what he says here, like, whatever, about power corrupting, especially power suddenly can be very volatile. He says it very beautifully. With the accent
but
stuff, but
the way
it's not as cool as the last episode.
Yeah.
Or even if it was just the Star-Lord episode, like, that was the last time we saw it. That would have been cool. It's like...
I feel like we'll have to surely get a message when it's actually his last episode.
I get...
And I mean...
rumor is the final episode is meant to be some massive team-up. So...
Yeah, yeah. Well, do you want to cover that trailer real quick?
I haven't watched
before we wrap this up? Okay, never mind. Forget about it. Well, my quick 2 cents on it is, in the trailer they show Agent Carter. And they show what looks like her teaming up with
Captain Carter.
Captain Carter. Sorry, it seems like Captain Carter is teaming up with T'Challa, Guardians of the Galaxy T'Challa. So
Star-Lord
it seems like
T'Challa.
Maybe Star-Lord T'Challa, whatever we're calling it. Yeah. It seems like those ones are connected. So maybe they're doing a what if these universes are actually connected, and they're going to do an Avengers of this universe. Yeah. And that could be the last episode, is what the trailer looked like to me.
Yeah, I had a hunch that could be the case, so yeah. Anything else you guys want to mention about this episode?
Voice cast was all pretty good. Everyone, so a quick rundown, since I seem to message it every time whatever. But Killmonger, of course, Michael B. Jordan. Happy Hogan was Jon Favreau. T'Challa, as we mentioned, was Chadwick Boseman. Queen Ramonda was Angela Bassett. Oh, loved seeing her get to kick some ass in this, even though it was animated, but we don't get to see that in the... Well, maybe in the sequel, who knows? But
even her being kind of reverently referred to as General, that was cool. That was nice.
Yeah,
I did enjoy that. Koye was Danai Gurira. Ulysses Claw, of course, Andy Serkis. Rhodey was Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle's proven he's happy to show up and do anything Marvel related, even if it's for 5 minutes, so that's fine. Paul Bettany was Jarvis. I didn't know if that was a reused line, but apparently was Paul Bettany. And then you get
if it was a reused line, they still would have credited as Paul Bettany, I think.
Would they, though? Because usually it says...
Oh, that's true.
Like
archive footage
any clips.
Yeah. Okay.
Christine Everhart was you got Leslie Bibb. John Kani was T'Chaka, so you've got the actual T'Chaka in this. But then you get into the people who weren't themselves. So Mick Wingert was Tony Stark. Obadiah Stane was Kiff Vandenheuvel. Pepper Potts was Beth Hoyt. General Ross was Mike McGill. And Shuri was Ozioma Akagha.
That actually makes sense because
yeah.
Shuri was much younger in this, so seems to be like
she was
12,
much younger, yeah, quite
like
younger.
that. Yeah.
Hmm.
So it makes sense. It was another actress. So, yeah. Let us know what you thought of this week's episode of What If by going to explosion.com/Twitter and letting us know on Twitter, or jump into a Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here at All New Marvelcast, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tell people about the show. And if you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support and buy us a coffee. So, make sure you watch the next episode of What If and join us next time for another All New Marvelcast.